I'm Drake to Grey Hill. I'm back.
We're
to
back.
Grey Hill.
We're back.
I hope everyone else had a lovely toast. I'm still here. To Grey Hill.
The Grey Hill back.
To Grey Hill. Oh no.
How far did we get? What happened?
I don't know. Did you say anything?
Fill us in, Luke.
Did you say anything at all? Something about Grey Hill.
Yes. Well, yes. We've done the toast, but we appear to have dropped off the stream. Or are we back on?
We're back on, I think. Am I dead yet? Or are we okay?
Hold on.
We're back, I think.
Okay.
It was such a moving, Mr. Leno. It was such a moving speech. You broke the stream. It was. That's the thing. You missed most of it. He was just sort of flirting around the edges when it all went down. It got much more emotional after you and I got booted, Leno.
It did. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful thing.
I've still got tears in my eyes, and I didn't even hear it. It just came through the internet so beautifully. I feel that's the universe telling us a lot of things.
Yeah, probably.
more than likely.
Yes. Okay. We have completed the Grey Hill Bass toast. So, returning to the story as it happens, the Boys from the Baltic Star has reached the point where if there is anything else you want to do aboard the Baltic Star herself, then now will be the time. If not, you can simply gather your possessions and call for a ride to the Seamstress.
I've got no other reason particularly to be here. I feel my work here is done.
Okay.
Has the supply of whiskey arrived from our deal?
Yes, it has.
Oh, wonderful. Agnar will grab his favourite bottle, the top of his list. He'll grab one of the bottles and he'll pack that, to leave in his stateroom.
Okay. Fair enough.
Cara will make sure all the art supplies that she's gathered from Giikur, that she had before from Austin, is with her. From when we gathered them from that space station a while back from around Kikarisa. And Sarah will just make sure she's got all her Giikur stuff.
Okay, yep, I'm with you. Sorry.
That's okay. It adds some realism, the coughs.
Some spicy coughs.
Spicy coughs.
Stefan will also just grab all his weapons. Chuck them in a duffel bag.
Classic
along
Stefan.
with some clothes.
Okay. Yep, weapons always good to take on a sports cruise.
Well, he felt a bit underprepared at Earth Park. He doesn't want to get caught out again.
He left his big weapons on the ship, didn't he? I felt like he was a little bit underpowered.
On the ship or in the shuttle.
Yeah, it wasn't ideal.
Yeah. So he's trying to learn from his mistakes. Trying being the operative word.
God loves a try.
Yes, all good. Okay. So then I suppose the question is, are you ready to call to March Temple and ask for pickup?
Yes. As much as I hate her in equal measures, I feel like there's enough to call for her, yeah.
Stefan will say, if we get a drink in at the bar, we can leave her waiting for 5 minutes or so when she arrives.
Classic taxi work. I like it.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're saying we're saying farewell to our captain after all.
A beloved captain.
Yeah, to a beloved member of the crew, who actually survived his tenure on the Baltic Star.
You mean Caboodle, yeah?
There's still time, to be fair, Ben.
Yeah, there is.
He's one day away from retirement.
And one more day.
He's just
Yes.
he's too old for this.
Yeah. So okay, you call in and Temple says she'll be up in a couple of hours to collect you and transport you over to the Seamstress. And her plan is to deliver you across immediately. Her boss will come up later that day, and she understands that the Commodore will be making his own arrangements for transport.
Okay. How old is the Commodore? Is he 64? I've been meaning to ask this for weeks.
The Commodore, bear with me a second. I do have that down.
There's a song about that if he is.
The Commodore is 70.
We're coming out with all the pop culture references today.
It's six better than the computer console I grew up with.
Your average Commodore.
Better than the average Commodore.
Yeah, the Commodore is 70. His wife, Angelica, is 55.
Oh, wow. And Cat's a lot younger than that, the frisky dog.
Cat's 19, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Good pilot, though. Enough respect. Enough respect. Let me see if I can do it with my hand yet. Enough respect. Oh, that's just hurt my wrist. Enough respect.
Oh, the wrists and the knees.
I'm too old to give the enough respect now. Oh, this is bad times. All right, cool. So she's on her way, the wrong one.
Yep. She, after a couple of hours, as promised, a very expensive-looking customized shuttle docks at the airlock, and the airlock automatically cycles for her, and she strides aboard. Unless, of course, you want to meet her at the airlock and stop her coming aboard.
We've got nothing to hide. She can enjoy the full glory of the ship.
Yeah. Stefan will say, she's on the way. Quick, round of shorts for everyone. And he'll up the geeks and see back or whatever they're drinking from the bar.
Okay. Yes, everyone raises a glass, and it doesn't take very long for March Temple to find her way to the lounge bar at the front of the ship, and wander in to see everyone raising a glass and cheering for the geeks, and she has a sort of completely blank expression on her face. You understand? It's like, here they are. This is what I'm here for. It's that there is nothing else on her face.
Oh, she's never going to get a spot on the crew with that kind of attitude. And we're not that fussy, let's face it.
No, that's a fair point to make, actually.
Soraya will agree to Stefan's up the geeks, of course. How could she not? And then she'll turn to see March Temple and say, "Hey, it's lovely to see you. Let's go and have the best fortnight of our lives." And hitches her bag and marches off towards the airlock.
Okay. Temple will lead the way effectively back to the airlock.
As we leave the bar, Stefan will just turn to either Kara or Sarah. I forget which one to say. Who was in charge of Caboodle again?
Kron Sarama.
He'll go over to Kron, and once the others have sort of left the bar, he's had a few drinks at this point. He'll whisper in his ear and he'll just say, she's Sudani Special Forces. I want you and Caboodle to sweep every inch of this ship for bugs. And he'll run off after the rest of them.
Oh, Kron. Oh.
He's the biologist, right?
Kron? He's just a lowly second engineer, poor boy.
He's a second engineer.
It's the engineer. Well, that's fine then. That's better That's better than the biologist that I thought I was going for.
He as you say this, he sort of holds up the kitten in his hand and then looks at its face, and he says, "We got this."
Oh, he's going to be busy.
And then sort of lowers the cat and drops it on the deck, and says, "Go, bug hunt." And the kitten immediately just rubs up against his ankle and purrs at you.
Kara rushes back and boops his nose. She was going to do the cat, but it's down on the floor now. Boop, and then off she goes.
Classic Kara.
Classic Kara. The cat's in good hands.
Fair enough. Okay. All right, you make your way back to the shuttle. This is when you first come aboard, you would assume this is a very different vessel to the much smaller craft that you went to Earthpark in. But if you remember that vessel when it first arrived, a portion of the nose detached in order to act as an atmosphere shuttle. What you're walking into is, in fact, the full assembled version of this craft. And it is large enough to almost qualify as a small yacht in its own right. It has 3 prow portions stepping forward from the body of the ship. And each of those is one of these separate detachable shuttles. And a bridge mounted on top above the middle one of those 3 for actually flying the main ship. It is luxuriously appointed and heavily customized to the needs of an Aslan noble. It is immaculately presented, and inside you discover that not only is there no Karar, at least not visibly, but Temple doesn't appear to be flying it either. She's just there as the sort of ostensible commander of the ship for the moment. Because while she's in the process of making sure everybody's got a place to sit and knows what to do, the mini yacht is already detaching and making its rotation to head out towards the Seamstress. This ship, because of the way it's organized, has fairly substantial viewport windows in order to provide a sense of the space you're traveling through to its passengers, who are, obviously well-heeled and expecting the very best of things. So even though it's only a very short trip, it takes 10 minutes, maybe. The journey does afford you a very, very good view of the Seamstress. From a distance, the ship essentially appears spherical, but as you get a little bit closer, you realize that it's not just a sphere. It has a sort of belt wrapped around the middle of it, which extends beyond the spherical shape, looking not at all unlike a seam.
A seam, I was going to say, like a seam, yeah.
Then at the effective bow of the ship, that seam becomes just a little bit more proud to accommodate a bridge structure. And at the stern, the seam sweeps out to a considerably larger extension, sticking aft of the main body of the ship. Vaguely reminiscent, I suppose, of a beaver tail, if you know what I mean. And this flat extension, which matches the sort of the dimensions of the seam, just stretching out significantly, contains right at the back an expanded area full of engineering, the main drives for the vessel. And just ahead of that, a fairly large and extensive collar wrapped around that separate section at the back, for ship docking, with large numbers of docking points, connected airlocks, and the like. The mechanics of it are exactly what you would think, and so as you approach, it becomes clear that if you imagine orienting the ship so the seam is essentially horizontal,
Yep.
there are therefore two almost hemispheres of the main sphere of the vessel. The lights over the outside for navigation and to make sure people don't accidentally blunder into it by not knowing where it is in orbit include all of the regular navigation lights, but they also include colors on the top of the ship that are the Giikur colors, and on the bottom of the ship that are the Dillabrew colors.
And at the bottom, quite right.
And as you approach, you also spot that the top and bottom from your orientation, they might well be changing. You understand?
No, it's the true orientation as far as I'm concerned.
Well, of course.
No up.
So the basic mechanics of it are that it is also covered. Those lights form the patterns of various slogans and team logos and team patterns. And as you get even closer, you can see large, but not overly huge wording about the upcoming match. The names and even vague representations of the images of the players play across the light system. They almost use the entire surface of the ship as a vast electronic display. It is not the most detailed you've ever seen, but it fundamentally works. And as you approach, the ship the ship you're on is taken into the docking bay on the starboard side from the orientation of top and bottom that I've just given you, and anchors into place in the vessel itself, very neatly, in fact. And as soon as the airlock opens, you can step out into a long straight tube that connects you to the actual spine of the Seamstress, and which is without any gravity. There is no up or down in this tube.
Oh, well, of course, buckyball is played in 0G, correct? Okay, so it fits for the ship. Soraya will grab her bags and zoom as best as she can. She's got some experience because in her days of a scout, of course, she would have spent some time in all kinds of levels of gravity. So she feels quite comfortable in it. And she will zoom her way down the corridor, I guess, feeling relatively at home in it.
Okay. The corridor is dead straight. It's not hard to navigate, and it's wide enough to allow easy passage, but not so wide that you could sort of get lost in the middle of it and blunder around in 0G. You know, it's narrow enough you can easily bounce off the sides as you go. And as you get towards the end, there is a projected sign which indicates to you which way is up and which way is down once you leave this tube and enter the main spine of the ship. And as it happens, up is what would have been right on the ship you've just left.
Okay.
Up is what would have been right on the ship we've just left.
Yeah, effectively, if you were standing on the ship and then made your way down the tube and kept the same orientation as if gravity was going to work the same way, you would have ended up falling once you got through to the main ship and landing on your left-hand side.
Yes, perfect. It was just the addition of the word left that made me have to think about it a little bit more.
Yeah. Yes, because it is, after all, a ship you've left.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's not wrong. It's
right.
It's right. But
right in there.
But right is up and left is down. But the ship we've left is not to the right.
Exactly what you're talking
Because
about.
the right is down.
But it is confusing. Cool.
Excellent. Okay. So, not finding it particularly difficult. You're all very experienced spacefarers, after all. It isn't difficult for you to, in essence, orient yourself to the bottom of the tube, as it will be when you come out the other end. And you quite easily step over what is initially a very low and then rapidly increasing gravity, so that anyone who misjudges it will have just a meter or two to orient themselves in low G before they actually hit the full thing. Clearly, this is something that the ship's designers have considered, that not everyone coming aboard will be young, fit, experienced, or sober. So they've allowed for the fact there may be some stumbles, as you would if you were designing a ship for a large number of people coming from different kind of walks of life. The space you enter is a very large, roughly circular docking ring, where multiple ships are docked already, most of them temporarily, and disgorging dozens of people onto this flat, round platform. And in the center of it, there is a large circular lift, and people are not in any particular panic, but they're forming a queue to join the lift, which is going to take them up into the main body of the ship.
Queues, eh? Queues.
Started already. Stefan says to Soraya.
It's feeling a bit too realistic for a sporting event for me right now.
This is why I don't like buckyball.
Queues.
Sports good, 0G. Okay, I guess. Day drinking good. Queues, not so much.
Yeah.
Soraya
I have some sympathy for that.
Soraya shrugs. It's just one of those things. Queue to get in, queue to get to your seats, queue to drink, queue to meet the players, queue to get out at the end of the day. It's just one of those things, man.
It's got to be done, I suppose.
But the true dream comes from seeing the mighty geeks beating those dirty de la Brue scumbags.
Okay.
It's worth it. Worth the queues.
Well, if you just join the huddle, the lift is in fact large. There is only one of them, but it is a large lift. So every time it lands, it can pretty much evacuate the entire docking ring. So though you do have to wait for the lift to come, there's no situation where you would then have to wait for a second or a third arrival of the lift. You can get on it as soon as it arrives. And it begins a slow but steady progress upwards. In essence, therefore, right now, based on your own gravity orientation, the engines of the ship are beneath your feet and the bridge is directly above your head. Okay? After a few moments traveling through perfectly well laid out and large open spaces for various docking rings, because it turns out, of course, that there are multiple docking rings on top of each other, the lift leaves that and enters what appears to be a completely dark tube. And it goes up for a little while, and then suddenly, as it begins to slow, it bursts into bright light. And to your amazement, what you are looking at is, in essence, the inside of that portion of the beaver tail that is connected to the raised seam on the ship. And for whatever reason, on both sides of you, stretching down and away in a smooth curve, is an enormous, absolutely enormous mound of snow. The lift actually reaches a certain point and then stops. And a few people choose that moment to get off and step out onto the top of what is a vast bank of snow, which stretches in both directions. One sort of straight line in each direction. And clearly the lift you have actually come up has come through the tube, which is built in the middle of this snow peak. And some people are getting off there and going out and pulling on skis and skiing down the snow.
Can Stefan jump out?
Yeah, absolutely.
He'll turn to Sarai and just say, I'll catch you up. Jump out the doors.
Okay. Yes, absolutely.
Not literally jump.